Roberto and Clara were the very image of happiness, a couple who had met in an average cafe and since their lives intertwined in a sweet romance. Their laughter filled the small apartment they shared and their dreams were woven together, like the threads of a soft blanket. The biggest of those dreams, the one they whispered to each other under the stars, was to start a family. They wanted a child, a little being that would fill their home with even more light. When Clara announced to Roberto that she was pregnant, the joy was immense. Roberto lifted her in his arms and spun her around the room, while Clara laughed with tears in her eyes. They couldn't wait to meet their little miracle. Doctor visits became exciting appointments, each alters on a new window to that longed for future. But on one of those visits, the doctor's face was tinged with a surprise they couldn't ignore. She looked at the screen with astonishment, then at Clara, and finally at Roberto, with a smile that tried to be professional but betrayed genuine amazement. Roberto, Clara, the doctor said, you have news that will leave you speechless. The couple held hands, their nerves on edge. Was it something bad? Or perhaps something unexpected? The doctor pointed to a monitor screen. It's not one, not two, not three. You're going to have 4 babies. The silence in the room was so dense it could be cut with a knife. Roberto felt like he couldn't breathe, while Clara blinked several times, as if trying to wake up from a dream. Quadruplets. The word resonated in their minds, a melody that was both overwhelming and wonderful. The surprise was enormous, so great that they didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Their lives, which they thought they had planned, were about to take a radical turn, a turn they couldn't have imagined even in their wildest dreams. The idea of a single baby already excited them, but 4. That was an adventure that was just beginning to unfold for them. La noticia de los cuatrillizos había sido un torbellino, una ola gigante que los había revuelto. Pero a medida que pasaban los meses, Roberto y Clara se aferraron a la idea, preparándose con ilusión para la llegada de sus 4 pequeños milagros. La casa se llenó de cunas, pañales y ropita diminuta, multiplicando por 4 cada necesidad y cada sueño. La expectación era palpable, una mezcla de nerviosismo y una alegría desbordante. El día del nacimiento llegó, un día que Roberto recordaría con una mezcla agridulce por el resto de su vida. Fue largo, agotador, pero al final, 4 pequeños seres llegaron al mundo, llenando la sala de partos con sus llantos. Primero Ana, luego Beto, después Carlos y finalmente Diana. 4 caritas arrugadas, 4 pares de ojos que se abrían al mundo, cada uno un universo por descubrir. Roberto sentía que su corazón iba a estallar de amor y de una felicidad que nunca antes había experimentado. Los primeros días en el hospital fueron caóticos, pero hermosos. Roberto y Clara se turnaban para sostener a sus bebés, aprender a cambiarlos y alimentarlos. La vida de pareja había dado paso a la vida de padres, multiplicada por 4. Pero poco después de regresar a casa, una sombra comenzó a cernirse sobre su recién formada familia. Clara se veía cada vez más distante, su mirada a menudo perdida en algún punto más allá de las paredes de su hogar. Las noches en vela, las demandas constantes de los bebés, el agotamiento físico y emocional empezaron a pesar sobre ella de una manera que Roberto no comprendía del todo. Una mañana, Roberto se despertó y encontró una nota en la mesa de la cocina. Su corazón dio un vuelco al ver la letra de Clara. La leyó una y otra vez, incrédulo. En pocas palabras, Clara explicaba que no podía más, que la presión era demasiada, que no estaba hecha para esto. Se había ido. Dejaba a Roberto solo con los bebés. El mundo de Roberto se detuvo. Los llantos de los cuatrillizos, que antes le parecían música, ahora resonaban como un eco doloroso en el silencio de su hogar. Miró las 4 cunas, a los 4 pequeños que dormían inocentemente, ajenos a la tormenta que acababa de estallar. Se sintió solo, abrumado, traicionado. Pero al ver sus caritas, una chispa de determinación se encendió en él. No sabía cómo, pero los criaría. Él sería su padre y su madre, y no los abandonaría jamás. El camino sería largo y difícil, pero por ellos, Roberto estaba dispuesto a enfrentar cualquier cosa. Clara's departure left an enormous void, but life, or rather, the 4 small beings who now depend entirely on him, didn't give Roberto time to mourn too much. The first few years were, without a doubt, an incessant whirlwind. Nights became an endless cycle of crime, battles, and diaper changes. When one fell asleep, another woke up. Roberto learned to survive on just a couple of hours of fragmented sleep. His eyes always red, his body always tired, but his spirit, surprisingly, unbroken. His small apartment, on Seal of Nest, transformed into a children's headquarters. Creeps everywhere, scattered toys, mountains of dirty laundry, and the omnipresent smell of milk and talcum powder. Roberto developed a military routine to manage it all. He prepared battles in an assembly line, changed diapers with lightning speed, and crawled 2 babies at once, one in a charm, while trying to soothe the other 2 with improvised songs. He became an expert in childcare logistics, a true juggling act of fatherhood. Not only did he have to be a father, but he also took on the role of a mother. He read stories with different voices, invented games, gave kisses to all small wounds, and comforted nighttime fairs. He tried to give the love and attention they needed, multiplying himself for each of them. There were moments when despair overwhelmed him, when the fatigue was so that his bones ached, or when he felt the immense loneliness of having no one to share a burden with. But then, a small hand would cling to his finger, a giggle would fill the air, or a pair of childlike eyes would look at him with adoration, and Roberto would find the strength to carry on. He became his own support army. He learned to cook nutritious meals in large quantities, to organize the house efficiently, and to look for deals at the supermarket to stretch every penny. Each day was a new challenge, a new battle to win. But with every hug, with every "Daddy, I love you," Roberto knew that every sacrifice was worth it. Those first few years were tough, yes, but they were also filled with a pure and unconditional love that kept him afloat. If sleepless nights and the constant demands of 4 babies were a physical challenge, social prejudice became an invisible but constant battle for Roberto. The stares in the supermarket, the whispers in the park, the intrusive questions from neighbors, it all added to an already heavy burden. And the mother, where is Clara? How can one man alone handle 4 children? Were some of the phrases Roberto often heard, wrapped in a tone of pity or, worse, judgment. People seem to assume that, without a traditional maternal figure, something was inherently wrong in his home. Some saw him as a poor man worthy of compassion, others as irresponsible, and the most gossipy, as the protagonist of a scandal they didn't understand. Even well-intentioned comments sometimes had. It must be very difficult for you, they would say, as if they didn't know. Or, you need help without ever truly offering it. The loneliness deepened when he realized that many saw him as an anomaly, not as a father who was simply doing his best under extraordinary circumstances. Roberto tried to ignore the stares and comments, but it was always easy. Seeing his children pointed out, even indirectly, infuriated him. Once, at the daycare, he overheard a mother comment that the quadruplets needed a woman at home. He clenched his fists but decided not to confront her. His children were his priority, and the battles he chose to be for and because of them. He became an expert at creating protective bubbles around his little ones. He taught them to be strong, not to pay attention to gossip. He instilled in them that their family was special, unique, and that the love they shared was the only thing that mattered. But in the privacy of his mind, Roberto sometimes wondered if it was enough. Was he doing the right thing? Was he living up to what his children deserved? Those doubts, fueled by constant external judgment, were what weighed on him the most. However, every time he looked at Anna, Beto, Carlos, and Diana, he remembered that their love was his strongest shield, and that the opinions of others were just background noise. While Roberto fought against social prejudice, another much more tangible battle was being waged day by day, the economic one. Raising a single child was already expensive, but 4, without the help of a second income, was a titanic undertaking. Expenses multiplied, 4 cribs, 4 car seats, double the diapers, milk, clothes that became too small in the blink of an eye. The list seemed endless and money, always scarce. Roberto worked as an accountant in a small company. His salary was modest, enough for a couple without children or with one, but not for a family of 5. He was forced to look for creative solutions. His working hours extended until nightfall, excepting any extra project he could get. On weekends, when other parents took their children to the park, Roberto did gardening work or small repairs for neighbors, all to earn a few extra euros. Tiredness became his constant shadow. He would finish shower da, rush to pick up the children from daycare or school, prepare dinner, put them to bed, and only then, when silence finally came to the house, would he sit down to a client's accounting or plan how to stretch the week's budget. Bills piled up, prices rose, and he felt the pressure of not being able to fall. There was no room for error. The sacrifices were extreme. Roberto put aside any personal hobbies or luxuries. His clothes were old, his meals simple and repetitive. But the most painful thing was time. The time couldn't fully dedicate to his children because he had to work, the time couldn't invest in his own health or rest. However, he never allowed the children to feel the scarcity. He learned to repair broken toys, to turn old fabrics into costumes, to make every meal a small feast with the little they had. He taught them the value of every penny, not from scarcity, but from appreciation. He instilled in them the importance of taking care of their things and sharing. And although sometimes he felt exhausted to the bone, the image of his 4 children laughing and playing was the fuel that allowed him to keep going. He knew that every drop of sweat, every extra hour, every personal sacrifice, was an investment in their future. And that, for Roberto, was worth more than any fortune. Begin barra inversa en spite sleepless nights, the hood mental logs, and the constant worry about money, Roberto had an unwavering campus, love and stability for Ana, Beto, Carlos, and Diana. His mind goal was not just to keep them fed and clothed, but to build a home full of affection, where they felt safe and valued. Every morning, before S and Rose, Roberto would get up to prepare breakfast and organize the day. Although fatigue weighed heavily on his bones, he always found energy to wake his children with a smile and a kind word. He taught them the importance of routine, shared responsibility, and mutual support. From a young age, the siblings learned to help each other, share toys, and resolve small conflicts through dialogue, reflecting the harmony their father strived to cultivate. Roberto became the anchor of their lives. He was the one who read them stories before bed, who taught them to theater so lasses, who celebrated every small achievement at school, and who wiped away their tears when they fell. Although time for him was a luxury, he always found a moment to listen to their stories, their fears, and their dreams. He explained the world to them patiently, answering all their questions, even the difficult ones about their mother's absence, always with the truth adapted to their age and with the promise of his unconditional love. Their house, though modest, was a refuge. Roberto made sure that each child had their own space, however small, and that they felt their voices were heard. The walls were adorned with their drawings and photos from their birthdays, each a testament to the life they were building together. Dinners were a sacred time, where everyone shared anecdotes from the day, laughter, and sometimes, even a fun debate. Roberto knew he couldn't compensate for the absence of a mother, but he dedicated his whole being to being the best father possible. He gave them firm roots and wings to dream, a love so great that it encompassed their shortcomings, and an emotional stability that would allow them to grow strong and secure. Amidst the chaos, Roberto was the calm, the unwavering pillar upon which the lives of Ana, Beto, Carlos, and Diana were built. Barra inversa NNE. The years, which at first seemed endless with the constant challenge of 4 babies, began to fly by. Roberto watched as Ana, Beto, Carlos, and Diana went from crawling to running, from babbling to debating with surprisingly logical arguments. Each stage brought new challenges, but also new joys and the confirmation that his efforts were bearing fruit. Ana, the eldest by minutes, became a thoughtful and organized young woman, often the voice of reason among her siblings. Beto was the adventurer, always with a new idea and inexhaustible energy, which sometimes tested Roberto's patience, but also filled the house with laughter. Carlos, the quietest, developed a passion for reading and music, finding solace and expression in his own words. And Diana, the youngest, was the heart of the family, with a sensitivity and empathy that united everyone. The 4, despite their differences, shared an unbreakable bond, forged in adversity and nurtured by their father's immense love. They had learned to be independent from a young age, to look after each other, and to value what they had. Roberto had instilled in them a work ethic and the belief that, with effort, they could achieve anything. Watching them grow, face school challenges, make friends, discover their talents, and forge their own personalities, was Roberto's greatest reward. They became outstanding students, not only for their grades, but for their curiosity and desire to learn. They began to work part-time to help at home, to save for their university studies, showing a maturity and responsibility that moved their father to tears. Roberto felt a deep satisfaction seeing them transform into strong, capable, and self-assured young people. They were living proof that the love, dedication, and sacrifice of a single father could build a solid foundation for 4 promising lives. Often, he would look in the mirror and see the gray hairs and wrinkles, traces of years of struggle, but also a spark of pride in his eyes. and we had done a good job. His children were his legacy, his triumph, and proof that love is the most powerful force in the universe. 25 years had passed since that day Roberto's life took a turn. 25 years of effort, sacrifices, and an unconditional love that had blossomed in the heart of his home. Now, Anna, Beto, Carlos, and Diana were 25-year-olds, each a reflection of their father's love and dedication, but with their own identities and dreams. Anna was a talented architect, with an eye for design and a brilliant mind. Her organization and meticulousness, cultivated since childhood, had led her to work in a prestigious studio. Beto, with his adventurous spirit, had become a successful adventure tourism guide, exploring mountains and rivers, always with a smile. Carlos, the music lover, was now a renowned music producer, creating melodies that touched many souls. And Diana, the most empathetic, had found her calling in medicine, dedicating her life to caring for others. Roberto felt a pride that filled his chest every time he thought of them. Seeing them follow their own paths, achieve their goals, and be good people was the greatest reward. They had overcome the adversities of their childhood with admirable strengths, becoming independent and happy adults. They were no longer the babies who filled his apartment with diapers and cries, but pillars of their own existence, his best friends. Family dinners continued to be a pillar in their lives, although now they were more spaced out due to their own busy schedules. But when they gathered, laughter and anecdotes filled the air, recalling stories from their childhood and sharing the challenges and triumphs of their adult lives. Roberto listened attentively, his heart overflowing with gratitude. It hadn't been easy, far from it, but seeing his children, and what every drop of sweat, every sleepless night, every good mental look had endured, had been worth it. His children were not only successful in their careers but also upright individuals, with solid values and a deep sense of family. They supported each other and adored their father, recognizing in him the silent hero who had given them everything. For Roberto, their happiness was confirmation that a father's love is, indeed, an unstoppable force. La familia acababa de terminar de celebrar el cumpleaños de Roberto, una alegre reunión donde los niños lo colmaron de regalos y afecto. Todo parecía perfecto, un testimonio de la feliz vida que habían construido. Sin embargo, el destino tenía una sorpresa guardada, una revelación que sacudiría los cimientos de su historia compartida. Días después, llegó una carta a casa de Roberto. Era un sobre grueso y viejo, con un matasellos desconocido de un pueblo lejano. Roberto, intrigado, lo abrió. Dentro, había una pila de fotografías antiguas y una carta escrita a mano. Mientras empezaba a leer, sus ojos se abrieron y sus manos temblaron. Era de la hermana de Clara, una mujer que Roberto apenas recordaba, que había vivido lejos durante décadas. La carta hablaba de Clara, no como la mujer que los había abandonado, sino como una víctima. Detallaba un periodo oscuro en la vida de Clara antes de conocer a Roberto, un tiempo en el que había estado involucrada con una peligrosa organización criminal. Según la carta, Clara había intentado escapar de esa vida, y conocer a Roberto y enamorarse le había dado esperanza. Pero cuando quedó embarazada de los cuatrillizos, la organización había reaparecido, amenazándola a ella y a sus hijos no nacidos si no cooperaba. La carta explicaba que la partida de Clara no fue un abandono, sino un acto desesperado para proteger a su familia. Se había visto obligada a desaparecer, a cortar todos los lazos, bajo la amenaza de que si no lo hacía, no solo su propia vida estaría en peligro, sino también la de sus hijos y Roberto. Había vivido escondida, siempre observándolos desde lejos, sufriendo en silencio. La hermana había guardado el secreto durante años, siguiendo las instrucciones de Clara, pero ahora, con Clara gravemente enferma y enfrentando el final de su vida, sintió que era el momento de que la verdad saliera a la luz. Roberto sintió una mezcla de emociones tan poderosas que casi lo derriban, conmoción, ira, tristeza y una comprensión dolorosa. La mujer que había amado, la madre de sus hijos, no había sido la cobarde que él pensaba. Había sido una heroína, haciendo el sacrificio supremo para garantizar su seguridad. Esta revelación destrozó la narrativa que había mantenido durante 25 años, cambiando todo lo que creía saber sobre Clara, sobre su pasado y sobre los orígenes de la historia única de su familia. La verdad era mucho más compleja y trágica de lo que cualquiera de ellos podría haber imaginado. Clara's sister's letter had opened an old wound, but it had also shattered the image Roberto had built of his wife. She was not the selfish Erte believed, but a corner woman who made an impossible decision to protect her loved ones. The truth was not what her the children expected, but a much darker and more complex plot. According to her sister, Clara had been involved with a group that, under the facade of a charitable organization, was engaged in illicit activities. Clara, young and naive, had become entangled without understanding the depths of her actions. When she wanted to leave, the threat of exposing her and harming her family loomed over her. The pregnancy with the quadruplets, far from being establishing, became a all buying. The organization saw an opportunity to extort her further, and at the same time, the multiple effort increased her vulnerability. Clara, desperate and feeling she had no other option, consulted her sister, who lived in a remote village. Together they devised a plan to simulate her voluntary departure, knowing that if she stayed, the organization's threat would remain latent over Roberto and their children. Clara carried with her an overwhelming secret, a burden she bore in silence for 25 years. She voluntarily exiled herself, living under a false identity, always with a broken heart due to a distance, but with the conviction that it was the only way to keep her family safe. Clara's sister recounted how, over the years, Clara's thought indirect was to find out about them, through local news or very discreet contacts, always with the fear of being discovered. Every photo of the children she managed to see, every small detail about their lives, was both a and a torture. Her departure was not an abandonment due to lack of love, but an act of supreme love, a sacrifice that kept her away from her children to ensure their safety. Roberto reread the letter again and again. The pieces of his past puzzle, which for years had been scattered and confusing, now fit together in a painful but clear way. The image of Clara as a victim, a silent heroine, displaced that of the woman who had left him. This not only changed Clara's story, but also his and his children's. They were no longer the children of a mother absent by whim, but by a hidden tragedy. Roberto Nue couldn't keep the truth to himself. It was a story that belonged to his children, a crucial piece of the puzzle of their identity. With a heavy heart, he gathered all four of them, Ana, Beto, Carlos, and Diana, and read them his aunt's letter, revealing the true reason behind Clara's departure. The silence that followed was dense, charged with a mix of disbelief and astonishment. The initial reactions were a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Ana, always the most analytical, felt betrayed, not by her mother, but by the truth hidden for so long. Why didn't anyone tell us before? She asked, her voice breaking, her eyes filled with tears of frustration. The resentment she had felt towards an absent mother transformed into a complex anger directed at the situation and the secret that had enveloped them. Beto, the impulsive one, reacted with visceral anger. A criminal organization. Are you saying our mother was some kind of spy or something? He exclaimed, rising from his seat. His adventurous mind struggled to process a reality that surpassed any fiction I imagined. He felt a deep confusion, as if the ground beneath his feet had opened up. Carlos, the most sensitive, withdrew into himself, his face pale and his eyes lost. Sunny's overwhelmed him at the thought of a mother who had lived a life of sacrifice and solitude, far from her children. The image of the mother had formed in his mind, the woman who had been the silent villain of their story, now crumbled to make way for a tragic and heroic figure. The confusion was palpable, how could reconcile both images? Diana, the youngest, simply burst into tears, feeling the pain and the weight of a truth that was too big to assimilate. The figure of her mother, until then a distant ghost, suddenly became painfully real, full of stories she never knew. She felt a deep sadness for the life Clara had told and for the lost time. Roberto tried to calm them, to explain that it hadn't been easy for anyone, that the silence had been a burden for him too. But questions piled up, reproaches, the need to understand. The image of their family, the one they had built with so much effort and love, tottered under the weight of this new and shocking revelation. It was not joy that this truth brought, but a complex mix of emotions that they would have to learn to navigate together. Mientras sus hijos lidiaban con el shock inmediato y la tormenta de nuevas emociones, Roberto enfrentaba su propia batalla interna, más profunda y compleja. Durante 25 años, había vivido con una narrativa firmemente establecida en su mente, Clara los había abandonado. Esta creencia, aunque dolorosa, le había dado un marco claro para comprender su pasado y su papel como padre soltero. Ahora, ese marco se había hecho añicos en mil pedazos. La ira que había sentido hacia Clara, una ira silenciosa y enterrada que había impulsado su determinación de ser suficiente para sus hijos, ahora se transformaba en un amargo resentimiento hacia las circunstancias. La imagen de la mujer egoísta se desvaneció, reemplazada por la de una víctima, una heroína, sí, pero cuyo sacrificio había causado un dolor inmenso. Sentía una profunda tristeza por la vida perdida de Clara, por la soledad que debió haber soportado y por la vida que podrían haber tenido juntos. Pero con la tristeza llegaron otros sentimientos. Había una sensación de traición, no por parte de Clara, sino del universo, por haberles impuesto un destino tan cruel. También había culpa, por haberla juzgado tan duramente, por no haber investigado más a fondo, por haber aceptado la verdad más obvia, aunque dolorosa. ¿Cuántas veces había pensado en ella con amargura, cuando ella, en realidad, estaba sufriendo en silencio por ellos? Roberto pasó largas noches en vela, mirando al techo, reviviendo cada recuerdo, cada conversación, cada detalle de los últimos días de Clara con ellos. Buscaba pistas, señales que pudiera haber pasado por alto, cualquier cosa que pudiera haber insinuado el secreto que ella guardaba. Releyó la carta innumerables veces, tratando de comprender los matices, el dolor tácito entre líneas. Ahora entendía que su silencio, su distancia, su nota final, no eran signos de indiferencia, sino de una lucha desesperada. Procesar esta nueva versión de la historia significaba reconstruir su propio pasado, reinterpretar su propio dolor. Era como vivir de nuevo los últimos 25 años, pero a través de una lente diferente. Fue una profunda agitación emocional, una confrontación con sus propias suposiciones y juicios. Roberto sabía que necesitaba aceptar esta nueva verdad, no solo por él mismo, sino por sus hijos. Tenía que ser su ancla en esta nueva tormenta, y para eso, primero tenía que encontrar su propia paz interior. Después del shock inicial y la difícil conversación, la ira, la confusión y la tristeza comenzaron a transformarse en una necesidad colectiva de respuestas. Los hijos de Roberto, ahora adultos, ya no se conformaban con fragmentos de una historia, querían la verdad completa. Esta dolorosa revelación, en lugar de separarlos, los unió más. Vieron la angustia de su padre, comprendieron su lucha por reconciliar su pasado y supieron que tenían que enfrentar esto juntos. Necesitamos saberlo todo, declaró Ana, su mente arquitectónica ya trazando un plan. No podemos simplemente aceptar esto sin entender cada detalle. Beto, con su espíritu aventurero, estaba listo para la búsqueda, su ira ahora canalizada en una feroz determinación de descubrir los hechos. Carlos, aunque más callado, expresó su deseo de comprender el sufrimiento de su madre, mientras que Diana, con su empatía, sintió una necesidad urgente de reconstruir la vida que su madre había vivido en secreto. Roberto, aún recuperándose de su propia agitación emocional, encontró fuerza en su unidad. Juntos, contactaron a la hermana de Clara, quien, aliviada de finalmente compartir su carga, proporcionó más detalles y los llevó a viejos conocidos y documentos ocultos. Los hijos, usando sus diversas habilidades, se embarcaron en una investigación meticulosa. Ana, con sus habilidades organizativas, estructuró la información. Beto usó sus contactos y audacia para seguir pistas que requerían discreción. Carlos profundizó en viejos registros y bases de datos en línea, buscando cualquier mención del grupo criminal. Diana, con sus conocimientos médicos, incluso ayudó a descifrar algunos mensajes codificados y a comprender la gravedad de la enfermedad de Clara. Reconstruyeron un mosaico de la vida de Clara antes de Roberto, una joven atrapada en una red de engaños, tratando desesperadamente de escapar. Se enteraron de las constantes amenazas, los momentos de peligro y la agonizante decisión que tomó de desaparecer. Cada descubrimiento profundizó su comprensión y cambió su percepción del pasado. La narrativa en blanco y negro del abandono fue reemplazada por una historia matizada de sacrificio y exilio forzado. Descubrieron que la organización criminal había sido desmantelada años atrás, sus líderes encarcelados o muertos, lo que explicaba por qué la hermana de Clara finalmente se sintió lo suficientemente segura como para enviar la carta. Este conocimiento trajo un consuelo agridulce, la amenaza había desaparecido, pero los años de separación permanecían. La familia, unida en su búsqueda, estaba reescribiendo lenta pero seguramente su historia, haciendo las paces con un pasado mucho más complejo y trágico de lo que jamás habían imaginado. The Family's Joint Investigation uncovered a much more intricate web of circumstances than Clara's sister's letter initially hinted at. It was just a threat from a criminal organization, but a complex situation that trapped Clara long before Schimmer Roberto. They discovered that, in her youth, Clara, seeking a way to help her impoverished family, had become involved with a group that promised quick solutions to their economic problems. What at first seemed like an opportunity quickly turned into a trap from which she couldn't escape. She was forced to participate in activities that went against her morals, living in constant fear of being discovered and the consequences that would bring. When Clara met Roberto, she saw an opportunity for a normal life, far from that dark world. She fell in love, and the news of the quadruplets was both a blessing and a curse. The organization, which had never fully let her go, so in her children a new form of control and pressure. The threat was not only for her, but extended to Roberto and the babies. They gave her an ultimatum: disappear forever or see her new family suffer the worst consequences. Clara, desperate and without resources to fight such a powerful organization, made a heartbreaking decision to fake her abandonment. Her sister had been her only confidant and accomplice, helping her disappear without a trace, while internally Clara died of pain at being separated from her loved ones. They learned how Clara led a low-profile life, frequently changing identities and locations, always watching her family from a distance, with a broken heart but with the conviction that it was the only way to keep them safe. This truth was not a simple secret, but the result of a series of unfortunate events and impossible decisions. Clara's disappearance was not an act of weakness, but of unimaginable strength, a supreme sacrifice dictated by a deep love for her family. This understanding completely changed Anna, Beto, Carlos, and Diana's perception of their mother, transforming the absent figure into a martyr, a silent protector who had paid the highest price for their safety. The journey of discovery had been arduous, filled with mixed emotions and painful truths. But in the end, the family found themselves in a place of understanding. The tears of anger and confusion had transformed into tears of empathy and sadness for the life Clara was forced to live. The figure of the absent mother was no longer that of a villain, but that of a tragic heroine who had made the ultimate sacrifice for her children. Anna, Beto, Carlos, and Diana, with their eyes now open to the complexity of their family's history, embraced their mother's memory with renewed love and deep admiration. They understood that love does not always manifest in spectacles and that sacrifice can be the purest expression of affection. Forgiveness came, not as an act of forgetting, but as an acknowledgement of the immense burden Clara had carried. For Roberto, this revelation was a profound liberation. For 25 years, he had carried the weight of betrayal and responsibility, feeling like the sole guardian of an incomplete truth. Now, with the puzzle finally assembled, the anger and guilt that had corroded dissipated. Peace, a peaceably unattainable, began to nest in his heart. He was no longer the abandoned father, but the man who had loved a brave woman and who, in turn, had raised his children with unwavering strength. The family, strengthened by their shared adhesion, gathered around Roberto. No longer used as a father, but as a man who had shown extraordinary resilience. Clara's story became an integral part of their family identity, a testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and perseverance. Family dinners now included toasts to Clara, honoring her memory and the immense price she paid for her children's safety. Roberto, seeing his children, strong, united, and fulfilled, was finally able to close a chapter of his life. The loneliness that had accompanied him for so many years faded, replaced by the warmth of a family that, despite the trials, had found its truth and its path to healing. The story culminated not with a fairy tale happy ending, but with a real ending, that of a family that, after weathering the storm, had learned to love, understand, and forgive, finding peace in the complexity of their own history.